Hello and welcome back to another episode of Oasys Top Tips. Did you know that Oasys Reporter has library scripts that can be used to extract and present useful data from analyses? In this episode, I'm going to show you how you can use the library scripts that are built into Oasys Reporter in order to extract key data from your analyses. To start with, I've opened up a reporter template. I quite like this one here, and I've got a table in the middle with some of the information that I'm going to be extracting. So keyword comments, termination status, so a normal or error, the date of analysis, the version of DYNA used, list of include files, the number of CPUs used, and also the CPU time. So to start with, I'm just going to double click on the table here, and I'm going to go into the second column. And as you can see, we have the option to change the cell properties from text to program or library program. What we're going to look at today is the library program scripts. So clicking on this changes the cell type to a library program, and then we can select a script from the library by clicking on library here. And we can see a pop-up appear which has all of the library scripts that are built in and provided with Reporter. It's important to note that some of these scripts don't actually return a value, but they do perform a function. So if we look here, we can see that we can create a d3 data file from CSV or from a generated variables file. And here we've got the option to read a primary error file. But what we're going to be looking at is some of the ones which actually produce an output. So here, if I expand the keyword files, we could access information such as the analysis title, get some comments, create variables from the parameters used in the model. So if you want to see what parameters a model uses, you can actually extract that information here, and so on. So to start with, I'm just going to select the comments between keyword and title. And then this shows the maximum number of comments that we'll use. So I'll just leave that as blank to start with, and that will use all of them, but I can tweak that to show you the effect of that later on. So I'll just click OK, and then what we see is we have the library program, it says output here, and then the program arguments, and there are no arguments in my case. Next, what we've got is the termination status. So what we're going to do is, again, change it to a library program, open up the library, and this time we need to go to the OTF file and scroll down to normal or error termination. There's no arguments required here, so we click OK. Then date of analysis, again, so we repeat the process. And I'm just showing you some examples of the sorts of things you can extract out. So that's in the OTF file, and then the analysis date. OK. Next, the DYNA version. We'll go to the library here, and again the OTF file, and then the DYNA version and revision, and then include files, library program, library, and then this is inside the keyword file. So if we scroll down, we can show a list of include files using the analysis. Then we have the option to say whether we want the full path or not. So in this case, I'm going to say no, so that it'll be relative to the parent path. And then I'm going to actually set this output also to a variable. So I could have done this for all the other ones as well, but I'll show you why I want to do it for this one in a second. So I'm just going to save this to a variable called includes. I could also select it if I wanted to, but I'm happy with that name. And then the number of CPUs. Okay, library. This one again in OTF file. Scroll down, number of CPUs. And lastly, the CPU time. Okay, so now I click OK. I can see that all of these have been populated, and if I press P to go into presentation mode, you can see that nothing is there. That's because we need to generate the template, and that will run these scripts here. These are the scripts that are included in the library. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to generate the page. And now we can see that we have the output from those scripts. So we had some comments telling us that it's an analysis that performs soil consolidation, a job number, and some metadata, termination status, which was normal, the date of the analysis, and then also the version used, and then a list of include files used. And note that this runs off the end, so that's kind of hard to see. So I've also saved it to a variable to show you what it actually looks like, and then the number of CPUs and the duration of the analysis. So you might want to do something a bit like this as a kind of cover page to a report, and just to give some summary information for an analysis. It's a good way of keeping track of the settings you used and comparing them between different analyses. And actually you can write all of these outputs to a variable. I just chose to write the include file to a variable, but you could do that with others as well. So if I edit and then show here, we can see the list of includes, and we can see them presented relative to this parent folder. And what we could actually do, and I'll do this in a future top tip, is we could use this information. So we could use the library script to get this data, and then we could actually write our own script to create a table that presents each of these include files on a new line. So I'm going to show you how to do that in a future top tip. So let's go back into edit mode and double click on the table, and then open up the comments here and go to library, and let's change the maximum number to 2, and then OK, and then back into presenter mode and generate. We can see that now we have the analysis performs the consolidation phase. And note that this is the number of lines of comments, so any comment lines that are empty will also be shown. Lastly, as I mentioned earlier, not every library script actually produces an output that you'd want to present. Instead, it might perform a function. And so for such scripts, what you'd want to use is a library script item. So here you can see the library program tool, and we'll drag that in here. And as we've seen before, we've got the list of programs that we might want to use. So we could perform creating a ggplot data file from CSV, and we'd input the certain parameters that we want here, click OK, and then when we generate the template, it would also run this and perform that action. So I hope you found this top tip useful, and I look forward to you joining in the next one, where we'll be looking at creating our own custom reporter scripts.